All right, Sleepy, take us over to your pick here for NFL Week 6. What do you got for us?
All right, so I don't want to get into a lot of numbers here with this one. I just want to talk about what I noticed the other night in the Jacksonville Jaguar game. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play the Jags here at home, minus the point and a half. The Jaguars had a massive win there on Monday night, and you might think, hey, let down, but if you watch that team offensively, defensively, especially on the sideline, they look like they're coming together. And I know that Trevor Lawrence has been really spotty. In my opinion, he really hasn't had that type of moment that he had the other night at any time in his career. So that's a big win there. And I feel like Jacksonville, they're really coming together. They got the rushing attack going. The passing attack looks pretty good. The defense actually looks really good. And they look confident. They look confident in themselves right now. There's just a weird mojo with that team that I've noticed over the last couple of games, but especially, on the game there on Monday night. And I think that, when you're just riding high and you're really confident you believe in each other, things just tend to go ahead and work out. So I really like what I see from the Jaguars right now. I know Strange went down the tight end. I think that I think that's a pretty big hurt for them. As far as Seattle, that they're probably going to come in here. They're going to be a little bit salty, but this is a long trip for them. I just like what I see with the eyes. I don't know what the stats necessarily say. I don't think that they're anything eye-popping. I know that Darnold's been pretty good, at least QBR wise. So I do worry a little bit about Seattle, but I think that Jacksonville really sells out on Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and they just make everybody else beat them because that guy's just been fantastic this year. So that Jacksonville defense, I think that that's going to be their main goal is to slow him down. And I don't know. I feel like if you lose this game, doesn't that kind of just make last week look? Who cares? It's like you want to build off that big win. So I think they come in here really motivated, ready to kick some ass. And I will say this: I think if the Jaguars win this game, that they're going to end up in the playoffs because their schedule doesn't look like it's super daunting. And when you have a team that just has the type of confidence and mojo they have, they're going to be tough to beat. And it's going to be one of those teams like, hey, nobody wants to see them. So I love the way that they look right now. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to play them here at home.
Yeah, the I mean, you mentioned, right? I mean, it's how do you respond coming off of that big win against the Kansas City Chiefs in the final moments? But when you get and I'm not taking any credit away from Doug Peterson and what he's accomplished throughout his career, but I guess the better word may be a breath of fresh air with Liam Cohen coming in there and how he's been able to elevate the offense, more from a perspective of you mentioned right last season with ETN, he wasn't really effective. And this season, he's been able to play very effectively. I know he didn't have a great game rushing the football against the Chiefs, but prior to that, he was doing very well on the ground through the air. And that's the type of player, that hybrid player that I think a Liam Cohen offense needs because we saw what Bucky Irving was able to do last season. We saw what Rashad White was able to do last season with Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers there. And they've taken care of business at home as well, right? The Monday Night Football victory, 31-28 over the Kansas City Chiefs. They beat the Texans 17-10, and they had the Carolina Panthers, who maybe a lot of people thought was a tricky spot there, but they took care of business in that game as well, 26-10. And so you mentioned the schedule for the Jaguars coming in, right? In this AFC South division where I think every game will matter. We'll see what the Texans are able to do going forward, but they have Seattle this week and they go across the pond next week against the LA Rams. Then they go into their bye week. So, what better way to get on a little bit of a winning streak here before you get into your bye week there? So, as far as the Seahawks, I mean, look, we saw what Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield were able to do last week and, kind of going toe for toe. And unfortunately for Sam Darnold, he did have that interception. And I think you take a look at this Jacksonville Jaguars team, guys, they've intercepted every single quarterback that they have faced. And that could be the difference in this game between the turnover margins, because prior to last week, they had intercepted each of the quarterbacks that they faced at least twice. Two against Bryce Young, three times against Jake Browning, twice against CJ Stroud, twice against, I believe it was Brock Purdy. And then last week we saw that pick six that they had in the red zone when the Chiefs were knocking on the door there. So, yeah, I like the Jaguars -1.5 here. Mac, anything to add there?
Yeah, I'm neutral on this game. I'm gonna give the same thoughtful criticism that you gave towards my pick, Sleep.
Hmm.
But I'm not betting the Seahawks. I don't mind the Jaguars, but I thought Ryan Russillo summed it up pretty well during one of his DraftKings ad reads of all things when he's like, "Am I really gonna bet the Jaguars versus the Chiefs? Are they really gonna get lucky on turnovers and turn the other team over again?" And they had a pick six worth like 14 points in the second half, taking literally a Chief from the touchdowns Monday Night Football into a touchdown for the Jags. They probably don't win that game without that. They probably lose by about 3 or 4, which is what the line was. So I'm not going to say they're crazy overrated, but I am skeptical that they're as good as their 4-1 record indicates. Um, that said, I think the Seahawks are kind of riding high too. You look at Sam Darnold, and you alluded to this, number one in our QBR PFF composite. He's number one by PFF's numbers, number two by QBR. You could say it's a great reason to bet the Seahawks. I've done this list every week for the last few years. I am going to make a big bet right now. Sam Darnold does not end the season as the number one. Tua didn't. Daniel Jones, who was number one for a while, didn't. It's going to regress a little bit. He's better than we expected. He's not the best quarterback in the league.